Who's the best couple in mystery fiction? Let's find out. Welcome back, Book Dragons. Today we're going to be talking about the Tommy and Tuppence mystery series by Agatha Christie. Before we get started, make sure that you like, subscribe, join my Discord, join my Patreon if you so choose. You know the drill, you know how it works. And with that being said, let's get right to this. I want to talk to you about why you should read the Tommy and Tuppence mysteries. Out of all the Agatha Christie books that I have read, the Tommy and Tuppence mysteries are some of my favorites. I love a good mystery. I love a good whodunit. And Agatha Christie writes some of the best out there. There's newer authors that are on the frontier, but none of them seem to quite come close to Agatha Christie, in my personal opinion. And maybe that will change over time, but she really is the queen of mystery, and that moniker is well placed with her. Tommy and Tuppence start out the series as old acquaintances who meet again for the first time in many years, and they do eventually get married, and they end up working together to solve crimes. And the series follows them from early adulthood, say mid-20s, to their senior citizen years. Tommy is a somewhat reluctant adventurer, but is very trusting of Tuppence and her whims. And Tuppence is always seeking adventure. She's very tenacious, and she's very snoopy. She likes to meddle and dig into things and find out all the dirt on different people. And this really ends up working to their advantage, as some of these cases just end up kind of dropping in their lap. This series does have the signature Agatha Christie style, and she keeps you guessing all along the way. You will come up with various different theories about who the murderer is, who the culprit is in each of the stories. But if you're like me, you won't figure it out at all until it's finally revealed at the end and you're like, oh, okay, I should have seen that, but I didn't. And now it all makes sense. And that's really a signature of Agatha Christie. She is a genius at writing those types of twists and making you think that you got it figured out all along, and then nope, it's somebody different than you thought. And this series is full of witty banter, especially between Tommy and Tuppence. They are just so adorable together. They're such a wonderful couple, and the way that they bounce banter off each other is just absolutely hilarious. Just one of the most endearing couples in all of fiction, in my personal opinion. So let's talk about the different books. There are 5 books altogether: The Secret Adversary, Partners in Crime, N or M, By the Pricking of My Thumbs, and Postern of Fate. And each of these books has their own unique story, but there is a byline of Tommy and Tuppence growing old together, having a family, and spending their entire lives in this mode of adventuring and solving crimes. So while you don't have to read all of the books necessarily or read them in order, they are unique. There is a structure that ties them all together if you follow the series from the beginning to the end. And it's really, really satisfying. Just a wonderful series. So let's talk some details about each of the books. I'm just going to kind of give you a little bit of a summary of each book and tell you what I thought of it, and you can be the judge if this series is for you. The Secret Adversary, being the first book, obviously kicks off their adventures. They meet up again for the first time in many years, and Tommy and Tuppence decide to create what they call the Young Adventures, a freelance private detective business where they help people solve crimes that nobody else can solve. And in this first book, they get wrapped up in discovering an underground movement run by an international criminal known only as Mr. Brown. And it's just a really fun tale. Lots of humor, especially at the beginning. This really sets the stage for the relationship that Tommy and Tuppence have together. Their banter back and forth is stronger than it is in the rest of the series. It's still there in the rest of the series, but I think it's the strongest in this first book. The second book, Partners in Crime, is more or less a short story collection wrapped up in a frame story. So you do get a beginning and end, but in the middle you're getting a bunch of different cases that they are handed, and they have to solve each of these cases. And for each case, they try to mimic some of their favorite literary detectives. So they've read a lot of detective novels, and they've come across a lot of different styles of detective work. So this is their chance to try different hats on and see how they fit. This was a fun story, but it was probably my least favorite of the 4 books. It was good, but it just didn't totally click for me in some ways. But I still highly recommend reading it. The next book, N or M, Tommy is assigned to keep an eye on a small town where Nazi sympathizers are under operation. Tuppence is specifically excluded at the very beginning of the story. But as you might guess, that's not good enough for Tuppence, and she still finds a way to become involved. And the book gets its name from the code letters of 2 mysterious figures in the story that may or may not be Nazi sympathizers. This is probably my second favorite book in the series. The Secret Adversary being my first, if I didn't say that before. N or M is definitely the second best in the series, in my opinion. In the 4th book, By the Pricking of My Thumbs, a mysterious painting becomes the clue to an age-old murder case. And Tommy and Tuppence just happen to get involved in this case while paying a visit to Tommy's aunt. And in the final book, Tommy and Tuppence are in their 70s. They move into a home in a village to kind of enjoy their last years, and they happen to be looking in a book and they discover a cipher which indicates that the home that they have bought may have a very sordid past. And they embark on a final adventure to discover the clues that will lead them to solving an age-old murder mystery. There were some things that I didn't like about Postern of Fate, but overall it was a really well done end to the series. It's full of nostalgia, Tommy and Tuppence looking back on all of their years as young detectives, and it's got a very strong slice of life element to it. You get to see Tommy and Tuppence in their day-to-day activities as they talk with each other about different things going on, and that witty banter is still there, and it's just a really cool way to see them go out. And so I really enjoyed that story. So if I had to rank this series, I would put this in my hoard. It's a series that I definitely want to keep in my library and read again in the future, and I highly recommend that anyone who enjoys Agatha Christie, if you have not read this series, it's absolutely a must-read. If you have never read Agatha Christie before, I personally think that Tommy and Tuppence is a great gateway to seeing what Agatha Christie is all about. I love Hercule Poirot, I love Miss Marple, but I don't know, there's just something endearing about Tommy and Tuppence, and it's a really great starting point, I personally think. So let me know in the comments If you have read this series, have you read any Agatha Christie before? I'd love to hear your thoughts on her writing. And if you've never read Agatha Christie before, let me know that in the comments as well. Is this something that you feel like you would enjoy getting into and experiencing Agatha Christie for the first time? Until next time, guys, make sure you are reading more books. I'll talk with you soon.